If you live in the Western world, like America, the United Kingdom, Australia, then you've probably seen an upward trend in all this talk about gender studies, being trans, being gender neutral, being non-binary, which even though we understand it's absolute quackery, it's being pushed more and more throughout society, and anyone who speaks out about it is classified as transphobic or homophobic or being a bigot. But listen, I don't care. Call me whatever you want. You want to call me transphobic? That's fine. I don't even give a crap. But start pushing this gender nonsense onto our kids, and that's where I have a problem. And today's story is about a woman called Nicole Solas, and she's being threatened to be sued by the teachers union because she simply wanted to know if gender studies was on the curriculum. Check it out.
My name is Nicole Solas, and I am a mother from Rhode Island who was sued by the teachers union simply because I wanted to know what my kindergartner would be learning in school. And here's how this happened. I asked to see the curriculum, and my school told me I had to submit a public records request. The curriculum wasn't posted online, and it wasn't available in a school district. Then I asked them if they were teaching gender theory, and they told me that they don't call children boys and girls, and they embed the values of gender identity into every classroom, including kindergarten, and they didn't want to answer any of my questions further. They told me that they would communicate with me only through public records requests, and that is the only way I could get my questions answered. And when I did submit the public records request that they told me to submit, and I submitted hundreds because I had hundreds of questions, my school board then put my name on the agenda of a public school board meeting and held a public school board meeting to discuss suing me for submitting the request that they told me to submit. In a 5-hour-long school board meeting, they openly debated my moral character, my political motivations. They said that I was causing chaos, wreaking havoc, harming the district, harming children. One school board member even said she felt unsafe and started to cry because, as you see, I'm really scary standing here right now. And they really just tarred and feathered me for asking questions. And they had never met me before, and this was the first school board meeting that I had ever been to in my life. They wanted to send a message to other parents that if you ask questions, they will come after you. Well, at the end of this meeting, they decided that they wouldn't sue me for asking questions because they never intended on actually suing me. They just wanted to publicly humiliate me in a school board meeting that was a show trial. And when that happened, then the teachers union, the largest teachers union in the country, the NEA, did file a lawsuit against me to bully me and harass me with frivolous litigation and to send a message to other parents that if you ask questions about public education, they will come after you. And I'm here so that this doesn't happen to any other parent in America. I'm still in litigation for almost 2 years with the teachers union. I still don't have my answers. But what I do know is that my school district and my teachers union didn't want to just hide the curriculum from me. They wanted to ruin my life just for asking for it. And I don't want that to happen to any other parent in America.
It's absolutely disgusting behaviour. The lady simply wanted to know what is on the school curriculum, and she has a right to that information because it is a public school, and she has a right to know what her child is going to be taught. Yet she was publicly humiliated and threatened with lawsuits for simply inquiring about the curriculum. Another thing, if a school is so scared of parents finding out what their children are learning in the school from the teachers, then the school and the teachers know what they are teaching the children is not right. A lot of schools nowadays will upload the curriculum onto apps or the website so parents can access the curriculum, see what the children are learning, but it makes you ask the question, what are they hiding? Maybe something like this.
It's not surrounded by barbed wire and electrical fences. The real prison's up here.
absolutely disgusting. Where are all the dads? It's a bunch of mums with the little toddlers watching a fella do the splits in a thong dressed up as a drag queen. If I found out the mother of my child took my kid to something like this, there would be an uproar. I'd remove them from the school or the nursery or the playgroup or wherever they are, and I'd also let my missus know in a very stern manner that is completely unacceptable. My child will not be polluted with such horrible imagery. Now, I've seen some arguments online that the kids don't know what's happening. It's just colours to them. They're completely innocent. They don't know what's going on. You know, if you've got kids, this is absolute bullshit. I've got a very diverse audience in terms of age range. It's about 95% men, 5% women. But of the male audience that I do have, people are ranging from 16 years old all the way up to 65 years old. So I'm assuming there's a lot of you who watch my channel who've got kids. You know yourself how much information the kids take in, especially when they get to like 1.5, 2 years old. They become like a sponge. They soak in everything. I think people would be surprised at how much kids do take in. And we know there's a direct correlation between how much trauma you experience as a toddler and as a child and how much that impacts your adult life. Even when you remove the fact that it's a trans drag show, it's still sexualizing our kids. I don't care if it's a woman dancing like this or a man dancing, a trans, a drag queen. Regardless, it's unacceptable. But the fact that it is a man dressed up as a woman or just some sort of overly gay drag queen makes it even more confusing for the kids. There's no need to teach your kids this stuff when they're younger.
If I send my child to school, I want them to be taught maths, English, maybe a smattering of French and probably a bit of art. I don't want them to be told that they may have been born into the wrong body by a 45-year-old Key Stage 1 teacher called Sandra, who then doesn't do me the common courtesy of informing me that my child has changed their name and started cross-dressing. What qualifies Sandra from the geography department to have those kinds of discussions with my child? Is she a trained medical professional? Is she a trained child behavioural psychologist? I'd have no problem whatsoever if my child came out as gay or as transgender. I really wouldn't. I just want them to be happy, to be free, and to feel comfortable in their own skin. But I'd like to have those conversations with them myself. I'd like to deal with that at home, and I don't think that's too much to ask. The world is confusing enough for 4-year-olds. When I was that age, I was probably running around naked, picking my nose and playing with my imaginary best friend, which was probably a unicorn, and not much has changed there. Not having my head filled with existential thoughts about my gender identity by a newly qualified primary school teacher.
Exactly. When I was a kid, I was out on my skateboard, my BMX, going to kickboxing, playing Super Mario and GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64 with my mates, playing with Lego and Action Men, you know, doing what kids should be doing, not getting confused about the gender. And some people might see these videos and say, yeah, but it's not common. These are just rare instances. It's not happening all the time. But is that the case though? I've got a couple nieces. They came home from school with a letter from the school for my sister. And the letter said, do you give consent for your daughter to be taught about gender and sexuality? My sister was fuming because, okay, at least they sent a letter asking for consent, but they were already teaching the kids about being gay and lesbian, because my niece came home and said, Mum, I'm a lesbian. And my sister was like, what are you on about? Where did you get that from? She said, our teachers told us if you love another girl, that means you're a lesbian, and my best friend is a girl, so therefore I'm a lesbian. Oh, and by the way, my niece is 5 years old. How confusing is that for her? I also know another girl. She's a teacher in a secondary school here in Liverpool, and she told me a few months back that in every single one of her classes, there's a good handful of kids now who are gender neutral, lesbian, gay, non-binary, trans. It's almost like a trend. It's a cool thing to do. When you're a kid in school and you're not popular, you'll look for anything to give yourself a sense of identity and popularity and to make you trendy. And if everyone's talking about being gay or being trans or non-binary and you haven't really got anything going for you, then that's a nice easy transition for you. Oh, maybe I'm non-binary as well and I can fit in with the cool kids. That's how kids think. They just want to be popular, but they don't really know what's going on. I look back to when I was 18, 20 years old. I didn't have a clue what was going on. You think that you're aware at the time, but you're not. You're just a kid. So these kids who are 15 years old, 12 years old, 8 years old, don't know what the hell gay, lesbian, trans is. As I say, this channel audience is around 95% men. And I want to hear from you fellas out there who have got kids. Is this something that you worry about, or is this something that you've experienced with your kids going to school? I think about this when my kids eventually go to school. Is this something that they're going to be exposed to? Should I homeschool them? Have you had your kids come home telling you that they've learned about gender studies? I think this is why when I eventually get to that point, it's imperative that my kid goes to a religious school. I did, and I've grew up religious my entire life. I think a godless society is a society with no future, and I think everything that we're seeing here is the byproduct of living in a godless society. Honestly, lads, I've saved about 30 different clips of stuff like this that we've went through today, so I'll do a few more videos on this showing you the stuff that I've found. If you want to see that, make sure you subscribe with the notifications turned on, and we'll do it in a few days. So yeah, if you want me to shed more light on this situation and share more videos like these, then show this video some love and support. Drop me a like and comment down below, and I'll see you all on the next one.